Hello, do you hear me now? Can you hear me? I think you can all hear me. Yes. Okay, amazing, amazing, perfect. Welcome. We're going to jump right in and we're going to start talking today about today's topic, our hot topic of the day, which is Shabbat Tammuz. All right, let's begin. A few things. So we're going to run through a few things just to get the foundations, and then we're going to go into what today's meaning is. How do I make today meaningful for me? How do I make today last in terms of my own spiritual growth? How do I not make it just another day where I'm just trying to find like a video or something that's just going to inspire me or get me through the fast? How do I actually what's with the fast? You know, I feel like a lot of people are not fasting these fasts, especially since it's a nidche, right? It was supposed to be yesterday. Yesterday was Shabbat Tammuz. The actual date was Shabbat Tammuz yesterday, and now today is the nidche, and so we're fasting today. So a lot of women, a lot of people are just not fasting today. I want to talk very, very much about the concept of fasting according to Torah. What does it do? What does it do for you? What does it do for us? What does it do for your soul? What does it do for your family? What does it do in general for your entire internal world? What does fasting do for us? Okay, because that's something that I feel like over time, a lot of people are getting pretty weak in, right? We're losing kind of that connection with fasting. I remember when I was growing up, most people were fasting, and today most people are not fasting. The people that I speak to and the people that I'm surrounded by, because I feel like the actual idea, the concept of fasting is not really spoken about as in terms of what it does for me, what it does for me on a spiritual level. And today we're going to be talking a lot from this book called Advice, Rabbi Nachman's book on advice. We're going to learn the mysticism, Kabbalah behind fasting. So if you're still fasting, or if you've yet to break your fast, hang on, wait till the end of this talk, and I think that your fasting will take on a whole new dimension and a whole new, you're going to have a whole new respect for it and appreciation for it, because it really, really, really is one of those big things, those big spiritual boulders that when we move it, it has a huge impact on ourselves, has a huge impact on our spirituality, has a huge impact on our home, on our children, has a huge impact on our livelihood, has a huge impact on our clarity of mind. Meaning fasting is not something just that we do in order to commemorate something that was, and something to just kind of say, you know, I'm fasting today as a way of saying how sad this day is and commemorating the day that it was and what happened on this day. That's not Judaism. Judaism is not about commemorating anything. Judaism is about understanding that whatever happened on this day called Shabbat Tammuz 3,300 years ago is actually happening right now, again, in the actual minutes of the Zman, the time that we're in. It's not something that we're commemorating. It's not something that we're trying to bring back as a way of like a Memorial Day kind of thing. Not at all. It's something that we're actually living through right now. The actual Zman is the same Zman, the same time that was 3,300 years ago. Okay, let's begin. I'm excited for today's class. All right. So we're going to start with talking about, for starters, what happened on this day. So 5 things happened on this day. I'm not going to get into all the 5. Every other video on YouTube, you can look at what happened. What are the 5 calamities that happened on Shabbat Tammuz? I'm going to talk about one of the calamities, one of the major calamities, and then we're going to take it into ourselves, into our lives, into our us practical tips as to how I can walk away from this day changed. And that's the goal. So on this day, we know that they were in the desert. The Jewish people had left Mitzrayim already. They were in the desert. They were waiting for Moshe Rabbeinu. Moses goes up to the mountain for 40 days. They're instructed that on the 40th day, he's going to come down and he's going to bring down the tablets. He's going to bring down the luchos. And here we go. We're going to move into Eretz Israel. We're going to move into the land of Israel. Now what happens? The story goes like this, and we all know this story. I'm just going to repeat it for those of us that aren't clear on the story. What happens? He comes down with the luchos, and what does he see? He sees the Jewish people worshiping the golden calf. He sees the Jewish people worshiping the golden calf. The luchos, the actual tablet, they get really, really, really heavy, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. They get really heavy, and they fall out of his hands, and they break. Okay, backtrack for a second. The Jewish people are counting day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 39, day 40. Where's Moshe? Moshe's not coming down the mountain. What do? We need a leader. We need someone to tell us what to do. We don't know what to do. We have no leader. They were very, 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 they were gotten used to because of God. But in essence, you can't hear me. Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry about that. I just had a phone call come in.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So the Jewish people really, really our being is that we need leaders. We need leaders to tell us, Jews, this is what's going on now. Biden came to Israel, then he went to speak to, he's in cahoots with Iran and with Ukraine and with whatever it is, and he came back to the States today. On Shabbat Tammuz, he comes back to the States with all these treaties and all these papers that he signed and all these things that don't sound really good for the Jewish people, for the state of Israel, for the nation of Israel, right? So we need leaders to tell us, wait, let's translate what's going on, what you're living through right now, and here's what you guys need to do right now in order to change the judgment, in order to change it around. We don't know. We're like living through history. Things are happening around us, above us, underneath us, and we're just like, oh, should I fast? Should I not? What's this day about? Like, do I care? Do I not? We need leaders. We are a nation below, where I'm below manig. We don't have a manig. We don't have a leader. And the Jewish people in the desert, they felt it. They felt the lack of a leader. And in that moment, they decide to make themselves an idol. Now, this story is a very, very deep story. It's a very mystical story. There's a lot that's going on behind the story of how could they do such a thing. They were just taken out of Egypt. They were shown the 10 makos. They were taken through the ocean. The ocean split for them, for goodness sakes. They get to the other side. They meet a Malek. They beat a Malek. They have man coming down from the sky for them, from the heaven for them. How could they, after like 5 minutes that he's not back yet, worship another God? Okay, we're not going to get into the story because that's for another class. But what we're going to get into right now is you get what you want. You end up getting what you want, which means the Jewish peoples, don't forget that they were a nation living in Egypt for 210 years. They were worshiping idols. They were in the trenches of idol worship. They were used to being slaves in a slave mentality, worshiping idols. That's what they were used to. Then God reveals himself and all of this stuff happens, and all of a sudden they're the chosen people. We're the chosen people. It's very hard to go from a slave to a princess. Okay, it's very hard to go in your mind, in the mentality. It's very, very hard to go. Why do people that win the lotto, why do a lot of them commit suicide? Why does it get to them in a way that it breaks them down, it kills them? It ruins them. The statistics on people that win the lotto are very sad. If you go in and you read it, what happens to their mind when they go from nothing to everything? What happens to the human being's mentality in that moment? It crushes them. And the Jews were in rehab, quote unquote. They were off of the drug, which was the avodah zarah, but at the same time, they were missing it, and they were longing for it inside. They were missing it and they were longing it. They couldn't, what, you want me to step into the driver's seat? I don't really know how to drive. I don't know. I know how to do the backseat driver thing. I don't know how to do the driver's seat thing. And Moshe was like, yeah, you're the chosen people. And everyone's like, yeah, the chosen, God chose you. And they're like, God chose us. And in their mind, they missed being the worshipers of the idols. They were missed being the ones that were in the slave position. They didn't know what it meant to be in the leader position. They didn't know what it meant that they were now supposed to be the light onto the nations. They didn't know how to fit those shoes. And when Moshe doesn't come down, they're like, oh my gosh, amazing. Now we can do what we want to do. Now we can go into the space that we feel comfortable in, back into our comfort zone of worshiping the idol. Now, again, remember, this is something that we always talk about. You always end up seeing what you want to see. And the Satan shows them exactly what they want to see. The Satan shows them what? He shows them Moshe Rabbeinu's dead body. He shows them Moshe Rabbeinu's dead corpse floating through the air, and they're like, oh my God, Moshe died. Moshe died. Because in their hearts, they so badly didn't know how to fit these shoes that they actually manifested what they wanted to see. because you will always see what you want to see. And this is what our entire class is going to be about tonight. If you hang on to the end of this class, I really believe that your Shavasa B'Tammuz is going to be a whole different, it's going to be a whole different Shavasa B'Tammuz. And you're going to have a lot more of an understanding and a meaning to this day for yourself. And knowing how to make this day really, really matter, and not just like as like a one-off, like, okay, it's a fast day, but like how to make it matter, because it is the first day of these 3 weeks. It is the first day of the darkest time on the Jewish calendar that's going to, when Mashiach comes, be the brightest time. It's going to be the brightest time in the Jewish calendar. These 3 weeks have the potential of being the highest time on the Jewish calendar, meaning that's what they are. The darker something is, the lighter in potential it could be. The lighter in potential something could be, the darker it can get to, meaning the lower it can fall. A person that has a very, very, very high mission in this world can be that exact person that can fall to the depths of darkness in their life. It's specifically the souls that are the highest souls that are also the souls that suffer the most and that can fall the hardest. You got to know that the furthest you can go in terms of your potential, the furthest you can drop. That's how it goes. So the fact that these 21 days are the darkest days in the Jewish calendar just goes to show us and tell us how high they really are. Mashiach is born on Tisha B'Av. The darkest day on the Jewish calendar, where the worst things ever that have happened in all of history to the Jewish people, all of history, and Tisha B'Av is the day that Mashiach, which is the epitome of light and life and beauty, is going to be born. Because Tisha B'Av, because it's so dark, it has the ability to be the highest time. It is going to be the highest time. It is going to be the highest day. It's going to be the highest yontif on the Jewish calendar, higher than any other yontif on the Jewish calendar. So we're entering the darkest / the highest time on our calendar. So when we know how to use the energies, when we know how to use the time that we're in right now, the zman that we're in right now, in the right way, we can turn it around to be a very, very, very powerful experience for us and for the entire Jewish people. So here we go. So their view was created by their will, by their ratzon. They wanted to worship the idol. They wanted to take a drag of that cigarette. They wanted to go after their taiva. They were in detox for a little bit too long for themselves, and their knee-jerk reaction was to go to what they knew, to their comfort zone. And so they wanted it really they identified so much with worshiping idols that they literally manifested it. And they saw Moshe Rabbeinu's dead corpse, and then they started building this golden idol. And then Moshe Rabbeinu comes down. He comes down, they miscalculated. He comes down the following day, and he sees what they're doing. And he sees that they're dancing around this calf, this golden calf, and he sees that they're worshiping it, and they're getting their fix, they're getting their high, they're snorting their coke, they're getting it, they're in the act. And as he sees them in that moment, the letters leave the luchos. He comes down, bringing with him the luchos, and this whole thing is so deep and so mystical. I really can't get into it because we're never going to finish. But the luchos, they get heavy in his hands because the letters in the luchos, they all go into the air. The actual stone gets really, really heavy, and it breaks. And the luchos break. And this happened on Shavasa B'Tammuz. This whole thing happens on this day of Shavasa B'Tammuz, 3,300 years ago, when we came out of Egypt and we turned into people in the desert. Okay. Now we're going to stop here. We're going to stop here, and we're going to go into the following piece. Okay. And at the end of this, you're going to see how the whole thing comes together. What do they do? How do they react? Like, oh my God, what do? They start doing tshuva. They start fasting, right? A lot of them have to die. The ones that were involved. The Egel Zav was taken, and it was my Hebrew and my English, it's all getting mixed in. The longer I live in Israel, the worse my English is getting. So the actual idol, the actual calf, is taken and is ground up, and it's turned into a sort of like a flour. And the people that were part of it, they drink it, and the ones that were were guilty of doing it, they die. And the ones that had nothing to do with it, they live and they start over. 80 days later, Moshe Rabbeinu comes down with another set of tablets, and now they move on to the next phase, which is where they get the Torah on Har Sinai, and then they go into Eretz Yisrael. Their reaction, now this story is so deep. If you can learn the story for at least 6 months, like really in depth, learn all the mysticism behind what's going on here. We're going to touch a drop of it, and we're going to see how it's so relatable to our day, to today, to us, to our life today, and to this fast day. They react and fast. They start fasting, they start crying, they start praying, they start doing tshuva, and they start asking God to forgive them. And then on Yom Kippur, Hashem says, "Salachti kedvarecha." Hashem says, "I forgive your prayer and your fasting and all of it. I forgive you. Okay, let me give you the Torah now." When they fast, what are they actually doing? And now we're going to get into what it is a fast day. And this will give you so much meaning for your day today. So much meaning for your day today. Listen to Rabbi Nachman on Tainus, on fasting. Listen to what it says here. It says like this. It says like this. In times of danger, okay, we're talking about the actual concept of fasting, what fasting does. Ready? In times of danger, God forbid, it is usual to decree a fast. Right? When there were times in the Jewish history when we were in danger, the Rabbanim got up and they said, today we're calling everyone to fast. Today is going to be a fast day, because fasting, what it actually does spiritually is this. Fasting brings about an illumination of God's favor. And this is itself sweetens and nullifies harsh judgments. If you want to nullify harsh judgments in your life, fast. The act of fasting, it sweetens the din on a person's life. It sweetens din on a person's life, thereby averting the danger. Fasting protects against poverty, degradation, and shame, and leads to wealth. It also makes us worthy of experiencing miracles. The act of fasting brings about nisim, brings about hamtakas adinim, sweetens the din on top of the klal and a person's personal life. When a person goes through difficult things in their life and they have judgment after judgment after judgment, and they see things that are happening in their life, and they're like, oh my God, my mezuzahs are fine. I checked my mezuzahs, they're good. What's wrong with my life? Why is this happening to me? A lot of times, if they take upon themselves a fast, it will sweeten the judgment in their life. If you are fasting on a national level, like today is a national fast, the amount of people fasting today are not so many. Majority of the world is not fasting today. We are the few and far in betweens that are fasting. The ones that do have to fast are the ones that are not nursing, not pregnant, not sick, don't have some kind of illness that they have to take medication for. Okay, those are the ones that are not fasting. The ones that are actually healthy, if you are healthy in body and mind, you are obligated to fast today. Even if you're a female, you are obligated to fast today. Your fast, look at what it's doing for you and for what it's doing for the Jewish people. It draws down loving kindness, compassion, rachamim, and blessings are drawn down to the world. The main effect of a fast is accomplished through the charity one gives while fasting. If you are able to fast and also give tzedakah on the day that you are fasting, the amount of hamtakas adinim, the sweetness that you're causing the judgment to be, it sweetens the judgment so much that it's a combination of those two things together is very, very powerful, of giving tzedakah and fasting. Continuing. It says, the evil one, listen to this. This I read to my kids today, because my kids actually fasted today. They fasted a half a day today, and it's their first time fasting, half a day. And then right after they fasted, and they ate. Okay, I made them like there's a massive meal. When they fast, I like make them the biggest meal. Today was the first. When I fast, I cook like I never cook. I get it out of my system. I just feed everyone because I'm so hungry. So I'm like making them like breakfast, like crazy breakfast. They're like, "Wow, Ima, you should fast every day." Like, no, you should fast every day. So they had this whole meal after they fasted till chatzos, and then all of a sudden, like all hell broke loose in my house. Like the amount of anger that went on here was not normal. And I was sitting here in my room preparing for this class, and I was like, this is like not regular. And all of a sudden I get to this part. I'm like, you guys, come here, read this part. And this is what I read to them. The evil one attacks people with extra force. Okay, the evil one, which is the dark forces in the world, the Sitra Achra, the Yetzer Hara, the Satan. He attacks people with extra force during a fast and tries to make them angry in order to spoil it. One must be especially careful to avoid the fire of anger on a fast day. The main value of fasting lies in breaking the force of anger. When you are able to break, you're going to have a yetzer hara to get angry today. Things will make you angry. You're not eating. You're on edge. It's easier to get you upset. You didn't have your coffee. Like it's harder when a person fasts not to get angry. He says specifically on this day you are going to be attacked by the dark energies that surround you. They will attack you and they will try to get you to be angry, because if you get angry, the likelihood of you breaking your fast is high. Not even just breaking the fast, the likelihood of you just getting angry. And he says over here, be careful to avoid the fire of anger, because if you're able to avoid anger on this day, you're going to break the fire. The fire is the force of anger. Now, remember, this is something that we always learn in all these classes, and Kabbalah talks about this all the time. Anger is the number one thing that leads to poverty. Not just poverty in terms of what's going on in your bank account, that also, for sure. Poverty in terms of your marriage, poverty in terms of how well your kids are doing, poverty in terms of your health. Anger is the number one tool of the Sitra Achra to get you to be poor in all aspects of life. Today, specifically during a fast day, if you are able to stay composed and not get angry, not yell at them, not respond, you are literally turning off the fires of anger. Turning off the fires of anger will bring into your life blessings and miracles beyond what you can do with other things, beyond a lot of other things like prayer and a lot of other things. That this is a very, very, very powerful, very powerful piece over here that he brings down. Okay, specifically on the fast day, he's going to try to get you to break you, because the actual power that the fast has is the power of takata dinim, to sweeten the judgment in your life, and bring you wealth and miracles in your life. So he's going to try to get you specifically on this day. Okay, next, fasting brings a new radiance to the face and restores a person's wisdom. Your wisdom will be restored. The very Salam Elohim inside of you, the image of God, and makes it shine on your face. He will be held in awe and respect by those around him, and his enemies will fall before him. But in order to spread peace, it is necessary to give charity. Okay? On this day, and I'm going to give you also this option. I'm going right after this class. I'm going to drive up here to Kever Shmuel Navi across the street from my house. There is a whole Hachnesses Orchim that these people are like from the next world. I don't know who these people are. They live for mitzvos. They don't know anything besides for mitzvos. And they collect money and they go to the store and they buy food and they bring it there. And hundreds of people come and they make brachos with the money that you donate on this day, on breaking the fast today. The fast is over in an hour and a half here in Israel. Okay. The poor people, Talmidei Chachamim, people that don't have so much money. And there's a lot of them here in Eretz Yisrael. Okay. And they come there and we feed them. We're going to feed them with tables and tables of food. And that food is whatever charity you want to give. There's a link. Okay. If you go into, after this class, go into the link that Naomi sent out, and go there, PayPal, send money on this day that you're fasting. Send $18, $20, send whatever money you want. Okay. To have a hand in this mitzvah. Because right after this class, I'm running up the hill here and we're going to set up tables and we're going to give out food to all these poor people, to all these Talmidei Chachamim that are coming, and they're going to make brachos by Shmuel Navi's kever. And Shmuel Navi said, and it's going to be in the schus of Shmuel Navi, and he writes in Gemara Brachos, it says, the Shmuel Navi writes there that he doesn't stay chayav to anyone. Anyone that does anything b'schus Shmuel Navi, you say a parak of Tehillim and you say, this is the schus Ilon Nishma Shmuel Navi. You light a candle. This is the Ilon Nishma Shmuel Navi. Shmuel Navi is the only Navi that has ever not taken anything from anyone. That anyone that has ever done anything for him, he has made sure to repay. And he says, I will never take anything from you without repaying you. So you doing such a mitzvah on a day like Shabbat Tammuz and helping all these aniyim and Talmidei Chachamim then have food and they make brachos on the food that you bought by Shmuel Navi's kever in his chus is a huge brownie points for you. Huge brownie points for us. Huge. So that's another option. You can click on it later after this class and you can donate there. Through fasting, it is possible to perfect our speech. The act of fasting perfects your speech. Remember, a lot of the reasons why we are in the situations that we're in is because our speech has been dulled down. We complain a lot. We gossip. We look at the bad. We do things, and these forces, these negative forces that cling to our speech when we gossip, when we complain, when we curse, when we are in that situation, they make our actual koach hadibur very, 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 very weak. And then prayer is not so strong. And then when we say things to ourselves like affirmations, like this is going to be good, and I know it's the actual force of speech, the koach hadibur is weakened. Fasting, when you fast, your act of fasting today strengthens your koach hadibur, gives back strength to your dibur, to your speech, to your act of speech. That means that it makes your brachos, that you blessing other people, blessing yourself, blessing God, prayer, anything that you say that comes out of your mouth is a lot more powerful when your speech is strengthened. Fasting strengthens our speech. I feel like a car salesman is trying to like sell you on like why it's so good to fast. It's so good to fast. Just that. Okay. So listen to the next one. Fasting has the power to resolve conflict, both physical and spiritual conflict. When a person is unable to pray or do what he should to serve God, this is conflict. We all know what it means to have internal conflict. We all know what it means to not to have this feeling inside where I'm feeling good, and all of a sudden I'm down in the dumps. Where I'm doing well, I'm taking 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Where there's like this thing that's going on inside of me where I'm functioning, I'm doing well, I'm top of my life, I'm productive, I'm praying, I'm doing well, and I feel good, and all of a sudden I'm down in the dumps. That is called internal conflict, and that internal conflict gets he says resolves. It gets resolved by the power of fasting. Next, ready? This is my favorite one. Fasting revives the dead. The fast gives life to all the days that were spent in darkness, without true vitality. When a person wastes a day by doing no mitzvot or good deeds, or even worse, by doing evil, God forbid, then that day has no life. Remember that it says about Sarah Aminu, it says about her that she lived 127 days, right? And then the Torah is like, why does it say she lives 127 days? Because it goes to show us that Sarah Aminu, right? This is the book Advice, Rabbi Nachman. He brings it down from all different sources of Kabbalah. Sarah Aminu, it says about her that she lived 127 days of life is because it stresses the 127 because she lived every single day of her life. She was alive in her days. She was awake in her days. She understood what her days meant. She understood what her time on this world was. She lived her life. So it says she lived 127 days. Every single day of her life, she lived. Every single day of her life was alive. But days that we don't live those days, where we're God forbid not just doing mitzvahs, but are doing bad things in those days, where we're not connected to ourselves, to our higher mission, to our goals, to the reason why we're in this world in the first place. When we forget, when we get caught up in the matrix, those days are called dead days. They're not alive. When a person goes up to the next world after 120, God can tell them, hey, you're 25 years old. And they're like, no, I'm 120. You lived 25 years of the 120 years of the time that you had on this world. Because the moments that we live are the moments that matter, is when we live, is when we really are alive. And it doesn't mean that you're like, yay, I'm alive. I'm like in Costa Rica, I don't know, like dancing. That's not necessarily what alive means. Alive means when you're aware and in touch with what it means to live. And the falling and the getting up and the falling and the getting up is also alive. Just because you fell doesn't mean that you're not alive in those moments. But it's the getting up and the changing and the recreating yourself over and over again that matters, that counts as life. It says here that on these days that are considered dead days, they're not considered days that count for us, God forbid. It has been killed, those days have been killed, but all these dead days are brought back to life by fasting. The more a person fasts, the greater the number of dead days he can revive. So fast longer. Fast deeply, fast with contention, fast with kavana. It hurts your tummy, your brain hurts, your mind it's just hurting you. You have a headache, you didn't drink your coffee. Good, be makdish it. Say, thank you, God. I'm sacrificing this headache, I'm sacrificing this rumbling tummy for you. Because for all those days that were dead days, the days that I killed, the days that I was in the dark, the days that I didn't know between right and wrong, the days that were not counted, today, this fast is bringing them back to life. Those days are going to count because the fast day brings those dead days back to life. It nourishes those days. It's crazy. The reason we fast after a bad dream is to draw joy over ourselves by means of fasting. The act of fasting brings down joy to our life. It's like exactly the opposite of what we think here in this world in the Matrix. In the Matrix, we think like, oh, going out to a restaurant and like, eating a lot and like eating an amazing like dessert or whatever, that makes me happy. But in essence, what makes a person really, truly happy are his spiritual endeavors. Is when you're able to, after Yom Kippur, how many times were you after Yom Kippur? You fasted the whole Yom Kippur and you're like, when is it going to be? And like you're standing there with the book and you're like looking at like the 1,000 pages that you have left for the day. And then after Yom Kippur is over, how high do you feel? How alive do you feel? How awake do you feel? How connected do you feel? Because that's who you are. You are a soul in a body. So we get really, really confused when we think like, oh, this meal or that car or that vacation is going to give me this like sense of life. It's fleeting. It literally is as long as it lasts. That's how long it lasts. As long as it lasts. As long as I have that cheesecake in my mouth, that's as long I'm going to enjoy it. But the acts, the spiritual acts that we do that are hard, like today, like the fasting of today, like the getting up, like go through the day when you don't have anything in your hand and you're like, what's missing? What's missing? All day I was like, where's my coffee? Where's my coffee? What's missing? Right? And something is missing. But in the interim, what's being created and what's being built on the inside is going to give us something so much more long lasting. And that's the benefits of fasting. The benefits of fasting are tremendous. And I was also thinking, it dawned on me a little bit that, you know how this intermittent fasting thing is like going around like crazy, like this diet, like with this intermittent fasting. I don't know, I'm on this world for a while, and only in the last like few years has this thing like become like a thing, like this intermittent fasting. Everyone's intermittent, everyone's fasting. I really, really do feel like it has very, very much to do with the fact that we're getting very close to Geula. That the truth of what's MS, because yeah, people are fasting to lose weight, but their fasting actually is being mamtik dinim, is actually bringing miracles into the world. It's actually bringing God's name into the world. They're fasting. So maybe they're not fasting l'shem shamayim like you're fasting today. They're not fasting like your intentional fasting, which is very, very high, very, very, very high. What you're doing in your home, what you're doing today by fasting, Shabbat Tammuz, even if you're not fasting, but you want to be fasting, for whatever reason you're not fasting, but your heart's in a place where you want to be fasting, that in and of itself, the amount of amtakas adinim, the amount of sweetness of judgment that you're bringing into the world. This morning, before I even woke up, a 29-year-old father was on his way. He was in Ranana, in the center of Israel. An Arab terrorist stole a car and rammed it into him and killed him. He's a father of 2 kids. This morning, on Friday, they sent missiles over to Ashkelon from Gaza again. Meaning the Jewish people are constantly wanting to be killed and eradicated. Constantly, and we're surrounded by so many enemies on all fronts, not just in Israel, all over the world. The fact that we're not being eaten up alive is because of amtakas adinim, because of your fasting, where you're sitting right now, by your computer right there, by your garden right there, by your room right there, where you're sitting, you're doing it in the moment is creating a sweetness of judgment where Baruch Hashem, we're safe. We're safe. They're not eating us up alive. They're not killing us. No matter how much BDS wants to eradicate us, and no matter how much they want to, spread hate and eradicate Israel. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. We are alive and we are kicking and we are going to bring the Geula. And we are a light unto the nations, whether they realize it or not. And the nations that realize that the Jewish people are the light onto the nations, they are standing behind us. And they want us to shine our light. And they want us to bring Kiddush Hashem into this world. They're supporting us. It's the dark side. It's the dark ones. It's the goyim that work for the Satan. It's the goyim that work for Satan, for the dark side. Okay, for the energies that come from the dark side. They are the ones that are ramming cars into soldiers and into innocent people. They are the ones that are throwing missiles, but they're not going to win. They're not going to win as long as we are connected to who we are. And how do we know who we are? We are souls and bodies. And this is our food. Fasting is our food. Fasting is our weapon. It's connecting to days like this of Shavasa B'Tammuz, where I understand that I'm a part of a bigger whole. I and me and you and all of us all around the world, we are doing something that is literally changing the world for the better and bringing in the Geula. More than anything you can possibly think of, you're like, what am I doing? I'm a housewife. What am I doing? I'm a mom. What am I doing? You are doing more than all those people that are making movies in Hollywood and all those engineers that are creating Teslas and all the ones that you think are they're the big ones. They're the important ones. No, they're not. You are. And that's why it says when Mashiach comes, Olam hafuchu, it's going to be turned upside down. The ones that we're going to think are like just the housewife or just the mom, she's going to be like up there on the scale. And the ones that the ones that in this world, in the matrix, we thought were like, whoa, we have to stand up when they walk into the room, are going to be all the way on the bottom of the barrel over there. All the way on the bottom of the barrel. How many people do we have here? Leanhar, we have 36 women here on this call, on this learning thing right now, right? If Kim Kardashian were sitting here and talking about her latest lipstick, how many millions would be here? How many millions would be here? Millions and millions and millions. That is olam hafuchu. It's the opposite. When you know that something is sheker when most of the world is after it. That's when you know it's sheker, when most of the world is after it. And you know when something is emes, when it says emet metzuya revadim, that truth is found. It's hidden. It's hidden. That's why it says olam is ne'elam. The world, the truth of the world, it's hidden from our eyes. Things that are so out there, like everyone worships this thing. When Mashiach comes, we're going to see what's real and what's fake. So fake, so empty, so nothing, empty shell. And it's always going to be the things that are that are real, that are emes, that the world is not going to run after. They're not going to run after. That's why the majority of the world is not fasting today. What's fasting? Who cares about fasting? It's stupid. I'm not fasting, right? But when you understand that you are part of the minority, and I always teach this, you are the cream of the crop, the Jewish people. You are the leaders. You are the ones in the driver's seat. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what kind of house you live in. I don't care if you drive a BMW or don't. I don't care. That's matrix language. That's the matrix language. That's not the truth language. The truth is you getting up this morning and pushing off your coffee and saying goodbye to your breakfast and not doing it. 36 tzadikot. Exactly. 36 tzadikot. And now we're gonna get to the second part of this talk, and this is where we're gonna understand what Yud Zayin Tammuz is. Yud Zayin in Gematria is Tov. Tov. Okay? And Tammuz, according to the Ari, Tammuz and Av, the two saddest months on the Jewish calendar, right? Tammuz, they every single month, right? If you learn the months according to the Jewish calendar, every single month stands for another organ, another body part. Okay, another organ. Different organs are strengthened by that month, specifically the month. If you learn about it, you can learn about it in Sefer Todah. Soon, eventually, B'ez Hashem, after Yom Tovim, after Tishrei, we're going to start a whole thing on like the months. I'm going to start teaching every month and the power of the month, the energy of the month, the mazel of the month, the organ of the month. We're going to learn all about the actual energy of the month and how to tap into the energy of the month. So the energy of Tammuz and the energy of Av, the organ that correlates to this month is Ayin. So Ayin, the right eye is Tammuz, the left eye is Av. If you look at Yud Zayin Tammuz, Yud Zayin is Tov, and Tammuz is Ayin. Ayin Tova. The way to fix, meaning because it's such a high time, because the 3 weeks is such a high spiritual time, it's such a high spiritual time, and because they viewed it, they saw this time as a bad time. They saw Eretz Yisrael and all the fruits of Eretz Yisrael and the giants in Eretz Yisrael, they translated it to be bad, and they cried. Their vision, their seeing, okay, their position, and it's not them, it's us. the Jewish people, seeing our position today as who we really are. Just like they didn't want to really come out of slavery. They didn't want to really come out of that mentality. They couldn't believe that now they were the leaders of the world. They couldn't believe that now they were supposed to be God's people. They couldn't really connect to that emotionally, mentally, spiritually. They couldn't connect to it. They were in the slavery mentality. What do you mean? You tell me what to do. You hit me in order for me to accomplish the work that you want me to do. I don't know anything. I am a follower. I am a sheep. I don't know anything. I am not the head. I'm not in the driver's seat. They had such a hard time looking at the reality that they were in, waiting for Moshe Rabbeinu to come down with the Torah. What is Torah? Torah stands for hora'ah. Torah, hora'ah. Hora'ah is a clarity, is a vision, is a teaching, is to know what yes and what not. To know what yes and what not. Just like I could look at fasting and say, oh, it's bad for you. It's bad for your body. I mean, why would you want to starve yourself? Like, it's not healthy. You're like losing like a lot of like H2O and like salts. You're losing a lot of salts and it's like not good. Like, look, you even have a headache. Like, it's bad. That's a person that doesn't know, that doesn't see beyond, that doesn't understand, that's missing a lot of information. That doesn't understand that the headache that you're having is because you're actually detoxing. Your body's actually detoxing and cleansing. That's why you're having a headache. The headache is a good sign. It's not a bad sign. Right? So a person can look at the reality and say, oh, it's bad. It's not good. Right? Because a person's vision is very, 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 very crucial and very, very important. And that's what Rabbi Nachman brings down, that when you fast, your vision gets cleared up. Your vision gets cleared up. You have a clarity of what's really important, what's really not, what's really yes, what's really no. Our vision in life determines how we're going to live our life. It determines who we're going to connect to, who we're going to marry, who we're going to be with, how we're going to act, the way we interpret our life, the way we interpret the circumstances God puts us in, the way we interpret the nisyonos that we have in our life, the challenges that God sends us, how we interpret those things, that has everything to do with how we feel in our life and how we're going to live the life we have. How we're going to live the life we have. A person can be brought up in the lap of luxury with everything in the world, okay? And can see it as all like, it's not enough. It's not good enough. I don't have this and I don't have that. My parents don't this and my parents don't that. And a person can come from nothing, from living in a box, from being homeless, and can appreciate and can see the beauty and the goodness of people and how that person gave them the dollar that the last dollar that they had. And they see goodness and humanity and goodness and beauty in God's world. It has nothing to do with what you have. It has everything to do with what your vision is, what your perception is, what your perception of reality is. The tikkun of Yud Zayin Tammuz, the tikkun of the next 3 weeks, of the next 21 days, in order to be metaken and to bring it back to the glory days, the days that are going to be the highest days in the Jewish calendar, when Mashiach is going to he's going to come, he's going to be born on, he was already born, he's here already. Mashiach was already born, he was already born on Tisha B'Av, 100%. Okay, he's here already. All their gedolim, everyone talks about the fact that this is the final days. These are the final days. We are very, very, we're like days, if I could say that, days away from the coming of Mashiach. And remember that it's going to be the darkest part of night before the new day begins, where it's not clear, it's not vivid, where most people are not fasting, where most people are not connecting, where most people don't even see the value in these things. Okay, it's the darkest, thickest part of night before the sun rises. And the sun is Mashiach. These 3 weeks, these 21 days are the highest days in the Jewish calendar. In order to be able to bring them back to being the highest days of the Jewish calendar, we have to know how to use these days correctly. And what does the Rizal tell us? The Rizal tells us, Tammuz and Av, there is no room for Ayin Ra'ah. It's all Ayin Tova. That is the tikkun for the dark days. Because remember, the Satan, the Sitra Achra, the Yitzhahara, the other side, the dark side, they want you to see everything through a dark lens. Oh, why is this happening to me? Why does my kid treat me that way? Where am I going to get my money? Why is God doing this to me? It's so hard for me. My life is so terrible. Why do I don't have a parking spot. I miss my dentist appointment. I don't have a parking spot. Hashem, don't you want me to get my teeth straightened? Why are you doing this to me? Where our vision, the Yetzer wants to make our vision dark, bleak. And the tikkun, the avoda of these 3 weeks is Ayin Tov. Tov is Yud Zayin, 17. And Ayin is the actual organ of this month. It's the eye, is the organ of and Tammuz, both of one right and one left. Which means over the next 21 days, over these next 3 weeks period of time, you are translating everything through a lens of goodness and kindness and compassion and mercy, even though the HR is going to try to make you feel like this is black, this is bad. This person is evil. If it's an evil person, it's an evil person of my husband, my child, evil. No, don't go down that path, because that's the path that the HR wants us to go. When they were translating the events by Har Sinai, when they were about to get the Torah, in the moment they were about to get the Torah, they turned it around and they started worshiping Avodah Zarah, because he got them. He got them to what? He got them to see something that wasn't there. He got them to see something that wasn't there. He got them to see something that wasn't there. And a lot of times the way we translate the episodes and the experiences of our life is through lenses that are not really there. It's not really there. It's not really the way we see it. That person is not treating us the way we think they're treating us. They're not. It's because of the lenses that we have on, that we see the life that we're living, and that's through those lenses we manifest the death of Moshe. We manifest the death of myself, the death of my potential, the death of my relationships, because of the label that I give things, because of the perception that I have on things. These next 21 days are so high and holy. They're so high and holy. They culminate in the rebuilding of the temple and the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash on Tisha B'Av. We're going to be rebuilding the Beis HaMikdash. It's such a high time. And we can learn about this we can sit here, we can learn about this for hours on end and take you into all the sources of what all the moments of these 21 days are. They're not bad days. It's the opposite. They're so dark because they have the potential of being so light. And he got them. He got them to perceive it as bad. He got them to think Eretz Yisrael was bad. He got them to think that Moshe Rabbeinu was dead. He got them. And in order to fix it, he's not going to get us. He's not going to get you. He's not going to get you to view your child in a bad light, view your life, view yourself in a bad light. He's not going to get you to view yourself in a bad light anymore. He's not going to get you to view yourself that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you don't do enough, that you don't do enough chesed, that you don't daven enough. No, the thing that slows you down, it doesn't make you want to do more. It makes you feel worse about yourself. That's more darkness. That's more separation. That's more divisiveness. That's more gullus. Even if you have to lie to yourself, lie to yourself. Lie about your future, lie about your present, lie about your child, lie about your husband, lie about it. They're beautiful people. This is a good experience. I love my life. I am a good, kind-hearted person that loves God and loves humanity, and I do so much for humanity, even if you sit on the couch all day and do nothing. Lie to yourself. Mitoch shelo lishma, ba lishma. That's how it goes. That's the equation. It's not, oh, look, I'm looking at the reality of life, and this one did that, and that one did this. Terrible people. Terrible, terrible people. I'm terrible too. I'm a terrible person, right? That's not going to bring us to Geula. That's not going to bring us to Geula. That's just bringing us right into the Yetzer Haras, the Satans. We're eating right out of his hands. Right out of his hands. We're just going to continue. We're going to end here. I'm just going to say that today, focus if you can, one tefillah in your tefillah, whether you're doing his bodados or talking from your heart, or you're in Shmona Esrei, or you're davening, or whatever it is. Okay, in there, ask God, give me an ayin tova. The opposite of an ayin tova is ayin hara. The opposite is ayin hara. Now listen to me for a second. Okay, listen to me. This is really, really important. Hold on, we're going to end with this. Hold on, really, really important. Listen to this. What allows a person? Okay, I love this because Torah is so practical. It's so like, okay, it's not like just like feel good and like looking at everyone with a positive eye. Like, no, he tells us exactly how to do it in terms of like, what are the energies that we can take, that we can do that actually adds to our bank account, to our deposit account, to make me into a more not just a positive person, it's a person that's able to see life from the right lens, from the correct lens. The reason that they couldn't get the Torah is because you can't get Torah. Torah is Torah is to have a clear vision of what's real, what's not. What's the matrix and what's above the matrix? What's really going on behind the curtains? What's happening in truth and reality? Okay, that's Torah. It gives us a behind the scenes look at what's really going on, not in the front scenes look. Okay, so he couldn't give them the Torah because they were already involved in the darkness. They were already so caught up in the darkness. They were not anywhere near a place where they can handle or they can be a vessel to receive what's really going on behind the scenes. They were caught up already in the dark, in the what's going on in front of the scenes, what's in the matrix. They were already in the gambling and the addictions. They were in the taiva. They got caught up. So the Torah tells us exactly how to be able to add good vision, ayin tova, to ourselves. Ayin tova, remember, ayin tova is not just ayin tova to see everyone in the positive light. It literally is, it's fighting the dark forces in the world. Whatever it is that Biden signed over there, whatever it is that they're planning on doing, whatever it is how much did they give him? 10 million or way more, 100 million to the Arabs. He just gave them $100 million or something like that, or 10 million. I'm not exactly sure of the millions that he gave them, but he gave them millions. So they started shooting missiles at us now. Now they started shooting because they got all this money, right? That's dark. That's decree. That's judgment. So when I do this work, and I'm going to give you exactly the pointers on what to do. When I do this work, I am lifting the judgment. I'm fighting the dark energies in the world. I'm fighting the evil with good. I'm fighting evil with good, which is everything, which is the point that we're here in this world. That's what it's all about. Bottom line. Okay, so what can you do to create an ayin tova? Ready? Seeing the face of a tzaddik has the power to lift the person from depression and lethargy and free him of his evil impulses and all their ramifications. Okay? Put up a picture of a tzaddik in your house. Go buy a picture of a tzaddik and look at it and make sure your kids look at it. It's good. It's good to look at a face of a tzaddik. And it's also bad to look at a face of a Russia. So all those like terrorists and people that they show us on the news, don't look at their faces. Don't look in their eyes. Don't look at their faces. Just like when we're pregnant, remember that when you're pregnant, you shouldn't go to the zoo for the first few months. Why? Because seeing the animals in the zoo has an impact on the actual neshama that you're bringing down. Don't look at them because they're impure. Next, it says that the sexual appetite depends on the eyes. Ayin ro'ah v'alev chomed. Sexual appetite depends on the eyes. It says the mitzvah of tzitzit is a protection and a remedy against immoral impulses. Okay, so for the men that are listening to this, put on some tzitzit. Next, be careful, and also for women, it's best probably not to expose your eyes to certain things because your eyes, your heart goes after your eyes. Okay, your sexual desires go after the eyes. Be careful not to look at people with an evil eye. The people that have an evil eye, don't look at them. The evil eye brings death to the heart of the one who has it. A person that has an ayin hara on people, a person that doesn't like the fact that this person is succeeding, this person has money, this person made a bar mitzvah, and oh my God, they have an ayin hara, they have an evil eye on the person. Don't look at them. Because it says over here, it actually brings death to the heart of the person that has it. There are several different kinds of evil eyes. Some people are filled with envy when they see the success of others. You should be on your guard against this, he says. You must also pray earnestly to God to protect you from being harmed by the evil eye of others. Ask Hashem for an ayin tova and ask Hashem for you to be protected from the evil eye of other people. Hashem should guard you from ayin hara of other people. You don't have to believe in it. You just have to have a protection around you from the ayin hara of other people. Okay, and also from your own ayin hara. From your own ayin hara, you should have an ayin tova, an ayin hara. The evil eye is the source of forgetfulness. It impairs the memory and causes one to forget one's purpose in the world. Okay, so remember, we're asking for an ayin tova and an ayin hara. And then he continues and says, even people with excellent vision can make mistakes when they look from a distance and things appear the opposite of what they really are. Which means this is true of the mind's eye as it is of the physical eye. We know that the physical eye, it flips things, right? It flips things. It's flipped, right? You see the way that your physical eye works is the reason that you're able to see me right side up. Really, in essence, your eye does what? Your eye sees it upside down, and then the eye itself flips it right side up. So he says the mind is the same way the mind works, and it works the same way in the spiritual realm as well. That sometimes we can be people that have good ayin, that have people that have good vision, that we're kind people, but sometimes our vision on the people around us can be really skewed. It can be upside down, like it is in the physical way. It can be that way in the spiritual way, in the emotional way as well. He says, for example, someone may have the impression that his friend is not being honest or behaving badly towards him. He may feel resentful in consequence, and this can lead to friction. He may think that he has the highest of motives for taking issue with his friend. But the truth is that it all stems from an illusionary impression. He has been led astray by his imagination, which has caused him to believe things about his friend that were fabricated and untrue. It's really, really important that we daven and that we ask Hashem for an ayin tova and for a clear vision, and not for illusions, not for dimyonos. I don't want the way I translate life, the way I translate the episodes in my life to be based on illusions, on dimyonos, on my ego, on my hurt ego, on my trust issues. Help it be clear, help it be straight, help it be honest. If this person is really a friend, help me know that they're really a friend. And they're not someone that's trying to backstab me. Because the way I feel is that they're trying to backstab me. Help me, if this is a real person, help my illusions go away. Help me have clarity of vision. Clarity of vision. He says the way to do this, and this way I'm going to end with this, the way to do this is by being careful not to speak badly of other people, or even to listen to somebody else's malicious talk. Lashon hara, malicious gossip, gives strength to the image-making faculty and the power of illusion, and it damages the power of memory. Lashon hara damages the power of memory to what? The power to remember at all times that this world only has meaning in terms of the world to come. The reason why we're here, the fact that we're souls and bodies, the fact that Lashon hara actually creates an illusion in our mind, and it makes us see life through illusionary lenses. Through illusionary lenses. Like they said when they were sitting outside of Eretz Yisrael, they said, we're like grasshoppers. We're like grasshoppers compared to all the giants in Eretz Yisrael. What grasshoppers? You're the Jewish people. You're going to crush those giants in a second. God is right by your side. He crushed the entire Egyptian army and the empire. He can't crush a few giants. But they saw their vision wasn't in line with the truth. So they started crying and crying and crying. And Hashem said, you cried for no reason. And because you cried for no reason, because you translated the events of your life through the lenses of sheker, not the lenses of emes, I'm going to give you bechia shel chinam, bechia ledoros. You're going to cry for generations now. And on that day is the day that all the calamities of the Jewish people, the Holocaust, the Spanish Inquisition, Kristallnacht, everything started on Tisha B'Av. Because of a twisted vision, because of an illusionary vision. This is the number one thing we have to daven for and ask for, especially on this day of Shavas Tammuz. Today is Ayin Tova. Shavas Tammuz is Ayin Tova. And we're asking Hashem, clear my vision. Make me have a vision of clarity, a vision of truth, a vision of kindness, a vision of mercy, a vision of compassion. And if I'm able to view life this way, and myself this way, and the experiences that I go through in my life through these lenses, then Hashem, Mida Keneged Mida, that's how He works. He says, you have mercy, I'm going to have mercy. I'm going to have mercy during the days of judgment. I'm going to have mercy during the days where there is no mercy. You're going to have mercy on other people, on yourself. You're going to have compassion. You're going to view it through a lens that really you can really judge this person. You're going to come and you're going to judge him. And you're going to judge him. You're not going to judge him. You're going to judge him favorably. I'm going to create favor in your honor, favor for you, and clear up your vision. What a day. Ladies, pray today for an Ayin Tova. Pray today that you shouldn't have an Ayin Hara. Pray today that Hashem should guard your lips from speaking Lashon Hara, because Lashon Hara creates an illusionary vision. Pray today that Hashem should give you the schus to fast and to be connected to the fast all the way to the end of the fast. Pray today that you should give charity during this day of fasting, and that you should be a vessel for Hashem's light in this world, and that you should literally fight darkness with your light, because there's so much darkness around us, and there's so few and far people in between Jews that realize their light and their weapon. Their weapon, it's right there. It's sitting right there. Pick up your weapon and fight the dark. What weapon? Where weapon? What weapon? I have to go to work. And if you know your weapon, and if you know your power as a Jewish person, a little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. We don't need everyone on board with us. It would be really nice, but majority of the Jewish people is not connected to Torah, not connected to truth, not connected to vision, not connected to what's really happening. You were chosen. You were chosen. You're from the chosen people. To have the schus to see, to have the schus to know, to have the schus to understand, to have the schus to fast. You're the cream of the crop of the Jewish people. And you're the ones that are holding up your weapons by this fast day and using them to fight the darkness in the world. And boy, oh boy, do we need that? Do we need all the help we can get? All right, ladies, thanks so much for listening, for joining, for being here. I just want to tell you, we're going to have an Emunah class coming up. Naomi's going to send all the information on the links. There's going to be an Emunah class, and we're going to talk about what Emunah is and how to strengthen our Emunah during these days, and during 3 weeks. And we're also starting another breakthrough cycle. If anyone wants to join us, we're starting August 1st. Breakthrough is 6 weeks of intensive learning and working with myself. And it's something that will really, really help you get a handle on your life in a real way. So if that's something that you're interested in, or you know that anyone else that would help them, let them know about Breakthrough. It's starting August 1st, another cycle, and I am looking forward to learning a lot with you. We're God willing, we're starting a membership where we're going to be learning once a week for 2 hours on different concepts of the month. Aside from the month, we have a lot of things coming up. I'm very, very excited. And if you ever come to Israel, let me know. I'd love to meet up with you and see you, and maybe take you on a tour of Shmuel Navi, my favorite place to be. And we'll be in touch. Bezat Hashem. Much love and light. Bezat Hashem. See you soon in the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash. Yalla. Take care.